Welcome to episode number 2 of the Down to Get Weird podcast. My guest, who's not going to speak until, that's the main thing, he's not going to speak till I introduce him, is someone who I've been known for a few years. We've traveled a few countries together. We've gone to a couple soccer games together. He's a college soccer player himself. Quite the fix-it man. He's actually repping his company on his shirt right there, Hexagon Home Improvements, which is weirdly enough the sponsor for the podcast, which you didn't know that until right now. But so thanks to Hexagon Home Improvements for all your home improvement needs. I don't know if they do plumbing, so that maybe not all your home improvement needs. Okay. Adrian Zieg. Which for the longest time, I thought your last name was Ziegler, which is funny because my landlord's last name is Ziegler, but no relation, obviously, because it's different last names. But Adrian Zieg, my guest, I'm gonna give him one of these.
Thank you. Means a lot.
This is I believe this is your first podcast you've ever been on.
It is.
That's exciting.
For you or
for you? Yeah, I'm used to this. I'm actually kind of bored right now, but so Adrian, big soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. Now I never played. I'm not very good. I enjoy playing. Yeah, Adrian is very good though. He played in college, and I'm just a big fan. I don't know why. I think it was probably an escape from my athletic career of wrestling, so I had to have something to really like.
Yeah. You also like traveling. It's a very worldly thing. Wherever you go, it exists. So,
which is what we're going to kind of get into. I'm repping the Centennial jersey right now. We got a few jerseys in the back. So it's a worldly thing. And the first thing I want to talk about is why I think more people should, like, in the U.S. should get involved in U.S. soccer. It's the one sport that every country in the world competes in for one thing.
See, I've had thoughts about this. I think in some sense, as you travel, I think you meet more people who travel from all over the world to go to different places, as opposed to a lot of Americans just stay within the United States. So I think that actually makes an impact on how they see it. Like people from Europe will go to Asia or they'll go to wherever, and soccer goes across the board there. But people from Nebraska only go coast to coast, and
hopefully not to Iowa, but they'll
skip Iowa. They'll skip Iowa.
Chicago though.
Yeah, they'll hit Chicago. Just kind of take the long
Mount
way
Rushmore
around Iowa.
maybe.
Yeah,
and I remember we were in Thailand, and one of the coolest travel experiences I've ever had was we were just rented motorbikes on Koh Phangan Island, and our third comrade had already gotten his Koh Phangan tattoo for the trip, so it was just us two. We were driving by and we saw some kids at a school playing soccer, and we just stopped to watch them, and their coach waved us over, and we literally half scrimmaged with this youth soccer team who was in the middle of their practice, and their coach called us over, and we just played with these little kids, and it was awesome. And so that you would not see that in almost any other sport.
No.
To go to Thailand, no one speaks any language, and then you just kind of jump in. And
that also, it just speaks for the sport. If they're practicing American football here, you're not going to ask someone to just jump in with you and play, probably. Maybe if you're playing in the backyard or whatever, but not really maybe.
Yeah. And I think the national pride part of it is something that you see at the Olympics, but then it's always sports that almost no one cares about. The one sport we all really care about in the U.S. that most people do is basketball, that is in the Olympics, and we're so much better than everybody. It's not even really a competition.
No.
Some people care about hockey a little bit, but it's a few countries like Finland, U.S., Canada, Russia, and Sweden, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Czech Republic.
But still, even then, it's we're the heavy favorites in every game.
And I feel like I'm a hockey fan as much as most people are soccer fans, where it's I care about the game we play against Canada every year in the Olympics, and that's the only game I care about winning.
Yeah.
And I don't watch hockey until that game comes up, and then I'm a fan, and that's what people do with the World Cup. like if you put that on a different scale of every single country really cared about hockey, then I think I would care more about hockey. It's fun to like we're not bad enough at it to not care at all at soccer, but we're not obviously very good. So
yeah, it's like a thing where like most people are pretty content with being where we're at. Like we assume we should make it to the World Cup, but like that's with our resources, we should make it to the World Cup.
We should win. I mean, we should.
But the point is like not like we should just make it. Like if there was enough, like people cared enough, and people like kids were working from when they're younger to when they're adults, like then we could actually be successful because we have every means possible.
Well, we are by far the most like ethnically diverse country in the world. Like not even close.
And resources we have
the best athletes in the world.
Yeah.
And so, can you imagine having LeBron James as a striker or as a goalkeeper? Literally any position.
Yeah.
Any position. He runs like a 4-3 and he's 6'8".
You watch, football or basketball and some guys who are point guards who are, decently tall, but they're so quick and, they're so agile. It's like, man, like if that person had been developing their foot skills the whole time, they're going to be almost unstoppable.
And here's my argument for soccer to the general public in the U.S., okay, is if our athletes invested in soccer, football would be almost the exact same. Mm-hmm. Like, you're still going to have people play football. People are still going to watch.
Yeah.
And so it's not like football is going to get hurt by our athletes going to soccer. Whereas we can only benefit in soccer because that's the world stage. It's people are like, oh, Super Bowl's the biggest event in the world. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even close to the World Cup final.
And the Champions League is the next biggest. And I think the cricket thing is the next biggest. And I think maybe a race.
Well, cricket's probably big because like Sri Lanka and South
India.
India
but that's still, numbers is numbers. So like, literally the only country that cares about the Super Bowl is America, and there's a lot of Americans that actually don't care, and they just do it for the social aspect.
And then people will bring up, well, our women's team's really good, and that's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into. Like, I love our women's team. I'm glad we win. No one outside of the U.S., or pretty much no one outside the U.S., cares about women's soccer. Like, we have a pro league, and granted, they have pro leagues in Europe. They do. It's big in France, Europe, Germany, probably Netherlands, and they have it, but it's for how many people we have and the athletes we have and how good our women athletes are. It's like, where can you get paid the most to be a female athlete? The Olympics, maybe then soccer, and then probably WNBA or golf. Actually, golf would be it.
I think there's
golf and tennis would be number 1 and 2, and then
some of the volleyball players make a little bit, but I think their careers are pretty short-lived professionally in that.
But you don't get endorsements. I don't know one volleyball player. I could tell you like gymnasts. I could tell you maybe WNBA player. But like I can tell you tons of soccer. Yeah. Tons of soccer stars. And so people you can't associate. No one invests in women's soccer anywhere in the world. Like Argentina had to have like massive financial backing from one donor just to send their team to the World Cup because no one cares. And so you look at their men's team, like it's the one thing, and pretty much all South America is soccer. So
it's not the same. We are the women's national team is very good as they should be, but it's not comparing things that are even in the same. It's not the same deal. Like, they struggle to. You see some of the teams that are in the World Cup for the women's. It's like they're absolutely horrible. But there's teams like
Thailand.
Yeah, like all the teams that are in the men's World Cup are like the 32 best countries in the world. Yeah, it's like they're very good.
Yep.
Like,
and so
there's teams that don't make it that are also very good too.
Oh yeah, like the Netherlands or Chile. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Italy.
Yep.
Like, that's insane that those teams didn't qualify for the men's World Cup, and yet it's just a whole different game. So this is my plea for people to start getting behind all soccer in the U.S., men's and women's, and the more money comes in, I do think it's changing. I think the MLS is growing it, and it's going to get there, and people will become a fan. But it's like if you're like a diehard U.S. sports fan and you want to show that the U.S. is the best sports nation in the world, we need to get on that level of soccer.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the MLS increasing is a good thing. But even then, like, there needs to be more people playing in the bigger leagues over in Europe. I mean, that's just you look at, again, like teams like Argentina and Brazil, like their best players aren't playing in their domestic leagues.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
playing,
that
they're playing. I mean, the thing is, we're not like, we can't just send people over there, but we have to get to that point where our players are playing in the most competitive leagues.
In which we have some, but it's like we have to focus on that. I do think building the MLS, getting the money in there, like that's a good thing to do here, but we got to get our youngest players out of here and get them there. Yeah. So that's kind of a whole, that's our federation, which is totally screwed up, by the way. But I also want to talk about something that I've been asked about while traveling that no one really outside the US and maybe Canada really understands is the support that we have as a, like, for most Americans that I know that really love soccer also support the country where their family came from. So if you are watching the podcast, I have a Czech Republic jersey right up next to my US jersey, and it's because I support Czech Republic. It's where my family's from. And so that, I think that people have been asking me, like, why would you care about Czech soccer? Because Czechs just beat England. I put something about it on my Instagram, and I had some people be like, why do you care about the Czech Republic? And I'm like, well, yeah, like, I guess you don't get, like, this, that's where my family came from, like, in the 1900s. So we have a tie to that, and I think most Americans do that. Like, you are quite German, I believe. Last name's German, but my last name's English, but that doesn't count. But, well, it counts, but it's not, you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
but I don't know. Do you follow the German national team at all?
No. Well, I mean, I follow just because I think,
like, would you rather them win Euros than anyone else?
No.
Or do you not care?
No. I would rather them win Euros.
Throws my whole point to the wind.
I mean, my lineage is partially German, but
you're also Scottish, right?
No, like Irish, Welsh, Danish, and Prussian. But the thing for me is, like, I don't actually have any real ties to other than saying my name is from there. Like, I mean, I don't. It's not like them winning validates me in any way.
Well, yeah.
I would prefer to watch the team that I think is the most fun to watch and that plays the best. So, like, I don't think the German team is very good. I don't think that they're the most fun team to watch, or not the most fun team to root for. So I couldn't care less because, like, as far as I'm concerned,
well, they do
American.
Win. So that's something that's different than what we're used to at this point.
That's true. But I don't think that, like, I couldn't care less.
Okay. All right. Well, you are one of them, one of the few that I've met that doesn't, which is interesting. That's normal. Hey, that's cool. It means you're all USA. I remember when the Czechs played the US in the 2006 World Cup, I regrettably was cheering for the Czech Republic, who did win. And, well, they could have won the World Cup that year, and that was the only game they ended up winning. But I do regret that, and if they played again, I'd be all USA.
Anyone could win the World Cup any year it happens, right?
No. Well, they could, but the U.S. did not have the ability to win the World Cup.
Fair. Then neither the Czech Republic.
No, they do. they were good enough. They were ranked like 3rd or 2nd going in. But, okay, we're going to transition that. While we're talking soccer, the U.S. has recently picked up probably the biggest dual international signing, I guess, who committed to us. Serginho Dest, born in the Netherlands, to an American and Surinamese father and a Dutch mother, decides he wants to play for the U.S. He starts for the European Giants, Ajax, in the Netherlands. And that's huge. We need, like, stuff like that. He turned 19 yesterday, I think. Mm-hmm. And I get a lot of people, like, thinking that's weird. What are your thoughts on dual internationals and where they play? Because he was born in the Netherlands, grew up there, but his dad's American. So what's your...
For, like, thinking it's weird of why he's choosing what he's choosing, or...
Like, yeah, I guess, like...
Or why is it, like, just the whole situation being kind of weird?
No, just like just dual internationals in general. I have heard a lot of Americans be like, they need to be, like, born here to play here almost. I've heard some people say that. I'm like, that's pretty dumb, I think. But I mean, we're starting to see it in wrestling a little bit, which is the other podcast that I do is a wrestling podcast, but where people are choosing to represent other countries besides the country they were born in and probably where they've lived their whole life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, does he have? I mean, clearly, the United States recognizes him as a
huge talent.
Well, but he's like, you could say he's American, right? Like,
yeah. Well,
so,
he's born to American dad.
So, like, I mean,
that gives him citizenship, which is like the qualifications almost.
So, I mean, the legal requirements of him being American are met. So, from like, I don't really care. Like, also, that's like I mean, how long do they have to live here before they're, before, like, also I think about it too. I'm like, man, if I was born in a different country but to an American parent, I'd be like, yeah, I'm like just like you saying, like, oh, I cheer for the Czech Republic because that's where my family's from. So you'd still consider yourself somewhat Czech. Yeah. Which is.
Well, it's like that's what my blood is.
Right. Which is
where it's
which
like
is,
I was born.
Which is way more distant than what Dest is. Dest is like literally one generation removed, and he could be like. But now he's saying he's basically by him choosing to play for the United States, he's basically saying I'm American, mostly American, right? Like.
Well, yeah, he at least likes. I mean, for some reason or not, he chooses to play for the national team. And I don't like the argument of people being like, you shouldn't, they don't like that. It's like, well, I guess, I'm not saying he even identifies more as American because he probably doesn't. He probably identifies as more being Dutch, but choosing to represent. Yeah. But I mean, that could be for financial and for a lot of other reasons.
But even then, like, you don't, I mean, but the thing is, like, also, like, that's not breaking any rules. That's the way the rules are set up. That's the way it is. Like, we have a lot of other guys who are like that too. I mean, like when Klopp was the coach, we had however many guys who could have played for, or not Klopp, sorry, Klinsmann. Wrong Jurgen.
Wrong Jurgen.
How many guys could have been German, but they chose the United States.
All right. Well, that actually is a great transition by your little slip up there. The Jurgen to Jurgen. Jurgen Klopp. He is the manager for Liverpool, and I think he looks like he has 9 bodies buried in his basement, as he is extremely serial killer-esque. I would say the most serial killer looking guy.
What
I'm gonna pull up a picture here on our little monitor.
What about him says serial killer?
The haircut and the glasses.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you think
I'm gonna put this up, and if you comment down below if you're watching this that this guy does not have some bodies buried somewhere.
So you're telling me anyone who's basically European?
No, that guy's no, bro.
No, you're picking the worst picture.
No, that's the first one that came up. I promise you, that's the first one. Oh, he's smiling. Serial killer gangster. How about this one? That's like, dude, that guy.
No way.
Is such a serial killer, man.
No way. Pull up a actual serial killer picture.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm going to throw up a little Dahmer here. Dude.
They don't look anything
alike. My. Are you kidding me, dude?
You're saying because the glasses. Because
no,
he has glasses.
Well, and the porn stash that he has rocking.
Klopp did not.
No, he doesn't have. But it throws into the creep vibe. He's got a porn stash up top, though, on his hair because it just kind of flares down.
That sounds like jealousy.
No. I'm telling you that this guy looks Jurgen Klopp and Jeffrey Dahmer.
No, that's the first.
Might be the same. He looks.
You're the first person to ever say he looks like that I've heard ever say looks like.
I'm not saying they look exactly like he definitely looks like a serial killer though.
I'm saying if you're picking out coaches who look like anything.
All right, who's your number one coach that is probably a serial killer?
I gotta say, well, Mourinho probably has killed someone, but not maybe he's a serial killer, but he's probably a murderer.
So just like a murderer.
But Emery, he looks like Dracula.
What's his
arguably his
first name?
It's UNAI.
UNA. Oh yeah, Unai Emery. Okay, he looks like Dracula, but oh, dude.
You could make the argument that Dracula is a serial killer, right?
Does he actually kill or does he just suck blood?
Till they die.
He's like a serial chupacabra. Which could come up later too. We could get into a little chup talk. But
he definitely looks like a vampire.
Okay. Okay. All right. I see the vampire.
I bet there's probably things on Google that say Emery
vampire
big time.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. I don't know.
See, that's not much of a stretch.
It's not much of a stretch. Oh, wow.
Did you make that? It kind of looks like the intro to your video.
Yeah, it kind of does. Dude, I like some of these. Okay, I get it. You're not the only one who's seen that, but I don't know if I'd classify Dracula as a serial killer. Serial killers have to have killed 3 people or more at different times.
Okay.
On purpose, whereas Dracula could just, thirsty for a little blood.
That seems like a purpose.
And then come out of, they end up dying from it. So
I don't. You know what the crazy thing about serial killers is I don't think that you would just. They don't get caught because of how they look.
Actually, right? John Wayne Gacy wasn't.
Okay. But
without the clown makeup
Dennis
on,
Rader, all these people
Dennis Rader did not get caught because of the way he looked.
That's what I'm saying.
Caught because
you can't say because someone looks this way, they're probably a serial killer.
No, you're right about that part. You might have me on that. But he does look like some serial killer. See, but you didn't think he looked like a serial killer when in fact Jurgen Klopp is a serial killer, and you're gonna find that out later, and then you'll be like, once you see him, then you're like, oh, I kind of get it. I kind of see it. But all right, we're gonna move on from that.
I actually like Klopp.
All right, so yeah, whatever.
He's a great coach. I don't care for
who do you think is the best looking coach?
Ooh, the best looking coach.
I was talking to someone about this the other day. Who is the best looking coach? I think is it like Sunderland or South? I don't know. Sunderland or Southampton? I don't remember his name. I'm gonna go with my man Pep Guardiola though.
You think he's the best looking?
Man City coach, right up there. Great looking bald guy, bald goals, and as a fellow alopecia victim, I'm a big fan. Great looking older man.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Who's hot? They're all kind of hot, honestly. There's a lot of players who are hot. That's for dang sure.
That's true, especially female players.
Yeah, them too.
Yeah, them too. Okay. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna transition there. This one's not an easy transition, as we're gonna go into. Actually, it's somewhat of an easy transition.
He's a good looking dude.
He's a really good looking dude. Good looking bald guy, Pep Guardiola.
That scruff looks nice.
Yeah, he's got the right amount of scruff, and you know what it is? When you're bald, you got to be tan. You can't be pasty.
True. He's pretty tan. He's got good eyebrows.
Great brows, and he's Spanish, so he's got that tan look, that real either South European or North African look, real nice and tan. But okay, we're moving on that.
Okay.
We need to. In the United States, we're in a little bit of a crisis here. We got Serginho Dest, which is a great thing, but we did lose to Canada for the first time in 34 years about a month ago. And that's unacceptable because Canada can't beat us in anything. All right? I'm strict. They do have good maple syrup and poutine, but no one knows what poutine is, so that doesn't count. So we need to fire our coach. And I think everyone around U.S. Soccer thinks that. What would you do? Okay, first off, who do you want? Who's your dream coach? And what would you do to get him? And I might throw a few things at you.
I don't know. There's quite a few guys I think that would be. It's hard to say someone's right for the job because I think it takes the perfect culmination of things coming together between players and timing, and just the coaching, obviously, of being able to win a World Cup and teams playing to their best ability. I feel like I know who you're gonna say.
Yeah, you know who I'm gonna say. Actually, but I don't even like the guy.
You don't like Guardiola?
No. Nope. I'm gonna say Pep Guardiola, the manager of my favorite club, Manchester City.
Arguably one of the best coaches
He's
ever.
He's so good, and that's why I want him, and I'm glad he's at Manchester City. He's kind of a poop head, I will say.
What do you mean by that?
When he was at Bayern, they came over and played the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So the MLS All-Stars play like a super good European club. So they brought in Bayern Munich, and we ended up beating them like 4-3 or something. And Pep Guardiola wouldn't shake our manager's hand. And it was the Kansas City. No, it was the Caleb something. Portland Timbers.
Yeah,
coach.
I can't remember his name.
Obviously, we know a ton. I know a ton about soccer.
Well, we don't really-
And he like made a lot of excuses. I don't know. I didn't really like the way. I don't like the way he acts sometimes. But when he's making my team very good, then I like it. So I would
Yeah.
like him, but
But I know your stance on sportsmanship, so
I'm not a big sportsmanship guy.
So,
in
can-
some senses.
can you fault him in that sense?
Man, he kind of got me on that one. You might be right. Yeah, here's what it is. Here's what it is. I like if I'm involved in it, I want like as I coach wrestling, I want my wrestlers to have great sportsmanship, and they need to. And that's like, if you're gonna be on this team, you do these things. Like you have to act this way in a certain way. When other people, if it's outside that, then I'm okay with it. But like just having that as our manager, I don't know if that would be my favorite thing. But if other people do it, then I guess it's okay. But that one, I just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It seemed like
Well, did you want it to
a
be
sore
like,
loser for really no reason.
That's fair, but did you want him to just accept the defeat and be like,
Well,
oh,
it was he was mad because he thought it was dirty or something, and it really wasn't. And I was just like, man, like you're at this level, like you got to be more professional.
Maybe he's
than
making
that.
excuses, but maybe he genuinely did think it was dirty, and like,
Well,
if you felt like, or if I felt like I lost in a dirty way or something like that, I don't know that I would react much differently.
Okay, all right, and it would definitely help the bald image of men in the United States.
Is there a bad image for bald men in the United States?
Yeah,
Really, like people like The Rock and Vin Diesel
yeah.
are really
Just
ruining
no
it.
one,
Yeah, it really
no one looks
sucks.
up to them or likes them for any reason. So that's why we need Pep.
Who's the worst bald guy in the United States
Oh
that people don't like?
That's a good question. I need to think about that one. I'll come back to it. You go on who you want, why you want them, and then the main kicker. While we're talking about this, what would you do to get him?
Guardiola, Klopp would be up there as well. I mean, I think they have to be, just with what they've done, and I think their resume speaks a lot.
And how many serial killers are really in Europe? You know, not very many.
It couldn't be.
He'd feel way more at home here.
Yeah, there's just better people to kill. I'd say, I don't know.
Just give me one name. It doesn't have to be. This isn't a test. What's coming next after this?
I
is
also
a test.
like, I don't know. Probably either of those two guys would probably be the best, I think.
All right, what would you? Let's say we're gonna get this guy and we're gonna win a World Cup. What would you do to get them? Like, would you give to see the U.S. win a World Cup? Would you give any part of your body in a sense of like
Not my liver.
cutting it off? Like fingers is what I'm saying.
Like
Guys, fingers.
to see them win a World Cup.
Yep. Like a part of your
here's the deal.
pinky.
Oh, I'd probably lose. I would easily cut one of my fingers off. There's a good chance I'll probably lose a part of one of my fingers at some point in my life. I mean, maybe.
That's a good point.
Doing what I'm doing.
Hexagon Home Improvements, which is
So-
today's sponsor, by the way.
So
Thanks to Hexagon.
if I'm talking like losing, like, a knuckle or two, I'd probably be all right. You'll get to pick the finger.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's gonna pick pinky.
Yeah.
What are you gonna pick?
Maybe my ring finger.
Yeah,
It's worthless.
that is true. Think
What's the
about
point
that.
of it?
Yeah.
I don't. Why does he get his name?
All right. So that brings up a social experiment I heard about once, which I want to get your take on, is where they did a study about that, where they say, it's about how people get removed from situations of like terrorism or death, and like when you think about war and stuff. And so they did this experiment where they said, like, would you cut off a pinky to stop a terrorist attack, or it was like a bombing or something? And everyone says yes, but then they I forget how they went about it, but essentially it's like no one ever gets nervous about those things, but they get like if you knew the next day 50 people were going to die over, some country well away, you'd sleep fine and you wouldn't really, not that you wouldn't care, but it wouldn't actually bother you. Where if you knew you're going to get your finger cut off tomorrow, then you would be up all night and you'd be like freaking out about it, to where it's like how we get distance from stuff like that. And I just thought that was a interesting.
So what was the
Interesting
experiment?
time.
The experiment was just asking people.
Well, maybe.
Because my thought is there's a lot of people who get stuff amputated all the time too.
Yeah.
So I don't
but
know
like
that-
knowing it's going to happen to you, it's like losing a finger or 50 people are going to die. It's like, well, you're going to choose to probably lose your finger to save those 50 people,
Yeah.
even though you don't know them and you're so
Yeah.
far away from them, and it's just
And I think any human life has more value than any finger.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you said it's to save one life to lose a finger, I would do that as well.
But it's interesting how like people. Well, yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how many people you say, my pinky is not.
But you
worth
wouldn't
more
be
than some-
nervous. But that's the thing is like you probably wouldn't be like well, I can't sleep because I know this is gonna happen tomorrow.
Mm.
Whereas if you lost your pinky, no one would be like, wow, this thing's not gonna be here tomorrow. Like it's gonna freak me out. And I thought that was an interesting, somewhat of a psychological experiment or whatever it is.
Little
But
interesting.
yeah, I thought it was
I guess
interesting.
I
Don't know how that ties into soccer outside of World Cup or bust.
So if we all start cutting our fingers off, we'll win the World Cup. Is
Yeah.
how I understood that. So
Yes. Yep.
you first, bro.
We're going to wait. Hold on. We made this list. So we went and got Applebee's earlier. This podcast is not sponsored by Applebee's to get that 25-cent boneless wings they're talking about. I saw it. While it actually is quite a bit of wings, not very good, and I don't recommend the spicy or not. They're just the Asian
Any
sauce, whatever it was. How was the buffalo? I didn't
great.
get to try it.
Not great.
Yeah, but then while we were there, I had a soda pop, nice fresh soda pop, and Adrian was making fun of me because I had a straw in it. And then what's your take on straws and sea turtles?
Man, really put me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot because I saw where you're going with it.
I think the whole argument of banning straws and saying straws are bad for the environment is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that one turtle had a straw in its nose is a freak occurrence. Not every turtle is swimming around with a straw in its nose. I get that it's sad.
It was sad. It's
but
very sad.
But it's not like that's not a normal thing. That was just a huge freak accident. And like, I mean, I have several stances. If you drink out of a straw, for one, grow up, be an adult, and drink out of a cup like a normal person. The second thing would be like, I don't think that straws are like, yeah, probably shouldn't use them. For sure, should try to make sure they don't end up in the ocean. But they're not going. There's not like a magnet to every turtle's nose with a straw just going straight in it. So I don't think that a whole town's banning straws and stuff really makes any sense.
Interesting. Do you think is it illegal in those towns to have a straw?
I don't know. They ban them, but I'm like,
because then you're gonna have a black market for straws, and that might be a game I could get myself into.
Maybe. Even
and
then,
I would disguise it as being a turtle activist.
I just can't imagine if the whole idea is that like, oh, using straws by the ocean gets and kills animals, like then you shouldn't use any trash by the ocean ever.
Any plastic, at least.
Any trash could get stuck in its nose, right? Like, that's the idea.
I guess I don't know if I mean the 6-pack ring.
Yeah.
For cans or whatever, it's kind of like a garter belt
how many times,
for turtles.
Yeah, how many times does that happen too? Like, is that another thing where it's happened like
that one? I could see happening way more. They get stuck around their head.
Yeah, more. But like, I mean, yes, and that's a very easy thing to cut those, and I get that. But it's like,
well, you gotta find them to cut. Oh, you mean like before?
But my thought is like, I can't imagine that's happening left and right. They're just pulling turtles out of the ocean. They're all just in these 6-pack holders. Like, it probably happened like a couple of them, and be like, oh, this is a huge issue. And it's like, yeah, we should cut them. Not actually a huge issue.
Huh. I like this unpopular opinion. I'm a big unpopular opinion guy.
Realistic.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying you'd rather have quality straws and less sea turtles.
Big time.
Okay, nice.
No one likes a bad straw.
Okay.
Use a paper straw.
So this brings us to our next. We were also discussing this earlier tonight. What is the coolest animal? Because I said turtles, and then I kind of like tied in dolphins. I think they're both probably like the coolest animal. And then you said, what did you say?
What's cool about them though?
They kind of chill and they're not mean. They just like hang out. Now snapping turtles are kind of like the cool guy who maybe had too much to drink or is like on meth, and then like
that seems
acts out a little bit more.
Okay.
But all other turtles, like you don't see a turtle and you get nervous. Or dolphins. Dolphins are cool too. So that's why I think they're cool. Like, chill.
Interesting.
What would you go as like the coolest
I threw
animal?
out crocodiles and alligators, man.
Yeah. Why though? That's what you said, and I
I don't
disagreed.
know. When there's an apex predator, that's pretty dang cool.
No, that's like BA. That's not necessarily cool,
Yeah.
man.
But it's still kind of cool. Like what they can do is pretty
Like
cool.
they're not Dwayne the Rock Johnson, who's kind of BA, but then also really cool.
Mm.
Like that
So
would
you say
be.
tigers are cool?
No, tigers are so mean, dude. If a tiger sees you, it kills you. There's so many
So you're
deaths.
saying like cool is like not threatening, just don't do anything.
Yeah, but just like, what kind of animal would you kind of want to chill with, or would you want to like, yeah, if you're another animal and you're like, oh, you know what?
If that's the case, dogs are the coolest then.
Why? There's some really mean dogs out there, and there's some like little dogs that
All
they
right,
suck.
but there's
Those
some,
dogs suck.
But there's some really cool dogs out there.
So, in India, 85 people
Yeah, I saw that.
are killed by tigers every year, and they
Yeah, but you said there's a lot of
they
people.
can't kill. That's
Would
a
you-
lot of people.
Would you cut off a pinky for those people not to die by getting killed by a
By
tiger?
tiger deaths? That's just nature working right there.
Well,
Because then how are you gonna do that,
I don't know. How would you? That's not the whole situation. I could have asked that about anything.
dude? I watched.
Someone
It was
get
like
mauled by a
no, it
tiger.
was like Planet Earth or something, and they like kind of followed a tiger with infrared, and like tigers like hang out in cities in India, and they know like they don't usually attack humans very often in that sense, but there's like pigs and stuff that are around the area,
Yeah.
and so they were like
pick them off.
they had like this tiger, and they were doing it infrared, and they're just people walking like 25. Probably maybe like 25 yards away from it. There's just like a group of like 6 people like walking through this park, and there's a tiger just chilling there, and they know the tiger's there, and they're just, like, and they just let the people go on by, and then they like got a baby boar or something. The tiger did, not the people walking by. So that's pretty freaky.
Yeah, that is pretty.
So it's kind of cool that they didn't kill him, but
I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, like rats and mice and stuff. They hang out around people, and like, I mean, that's what they say about cats. All cats domesticate themselves. They're actually not on the list of domesticated animals.
they domesticate themselves.
Yeah, they choose to live inside because where people have food, mice and rodents hang out, so cats hang out inside.
Oh dang!
so-
So you're saying I'm a big cat guy, as you know.
Yeah.
So to attract like the neighborhood cats, so I can
Just
have
let a bunch of rats in
just
here.
yeah, like hang out with some rats and
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, which
That's kind of
yeah, you're not far off. I think I saw one.
yeah. Well, it could be. Hey, rats, welcome into the my humble abode over here, and just so we can attract some kitties, so I can pet them.
Hey, long game, man.
That's true.
It's all about.
That's very true. All right, what else did we have on the docket here? We're gonna wrap this up after this. Oh, ooh, yeah, I forgot about this one. It's not even that exciting, but it's something that ties into literally the intro of this about that the United States needs to wake up, embrace soccer, and embrace the system of soccer, which would be great. And I'm talking promotion relegation, baby. So, people who are listening to this who do not know what promotion relegation is, I think the English football system, which is soccer here, their football system has 31 levels to it. Okay, so, and essentially like your neighborhood team in England could essentially end up playing in the Premier League, which is like our NFL, our NBA, our MLB.
There's some other stuff to it, but more or less, yes. You have to.
In
have
theory, they
certain,
could.
Yeah, you'd have to. I mean,
You have to
there-
get a stadium. You
yeah,
have to start getting things, but
there
you can't.
there is the
It's
potential that
possible.
could happen. Yes.
So essentially, what that means is like I think the closest we could get to in this country is baseball, because we have like
Yeah.
non A baseball, like A, double A, triple A, to where you have these smaller teams in smaller markets that have these semi-pro or pro baseball teams. And what essentially that could happen is, in the sense of where we live, Lincoln, Nebraska, the Lincoln Salt Dogs could eventually play in the MLB, which would be so cool. And that's something that I think we need to get rid of drafts, and I think we need to go to this more free market. whoever wants to pay for it, wherever you can get them, bring them in, and you'll get a lot more support.
There's a lot of wasted talent through drafts because a really good player ends up at a bad team and gets stuck there.
Yeah.
And by the time they get traded out, they're kind of forgotten about. They're maybe out of the prime or whatever. So allowing a player who is good to end up at a good team.
Yeah. And I guess I haven't even described what promotion relegation is. So essentially it's in a lot of soccer, it's either the top 4 teams of the league below. So let's just use MLB, for example. So you play this certain schedule, and the lowest, let's say 4 teams in the MLB, the worst 4 teams next year are not in the MLB. They're in AAA. And the best 4 teams from AAA move up to the MLB. And then that's the same in AAA, and then into AA, and then into single A. And essentially in England, it goes 31 leagues in.
Yep.
To where you can be playing for this small neighborhood team, and you get promoted, your team gets promoted, and they maybe are making $20 a game sometimes or less, or maybe they're doing it for free or whatever it is.
Yeah, a lot of them.
$20 a game once you get a little too higher, and then you can they start making more money. So I think that's something that is going to eventually be adopted in our soccer system here, because I think it's inevitable. I do think it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But that would get me to support a team like the Bug Eaters in Lincoln.
It's just unlike.
It's like I would start going to the games because it's like they have the potential to make it to the MLS, and that's so cool.
I think it'll happen. It's just so different from every other sport that we have here that people who aren't soccer fans don't necessarily understand that or the benefits of that, of like why there's like it's good to have multiple leagues. Like, I mean, we could do that with professional football too. You know, you have the top.
Oh yeah. Well, think if there's a Lincoln.
There's
pro football team that's like. We have indoor football, but no one goes. But if it was real football,
there's a lot of guys who get cut that are, could potentially still play in the NFL or be on a team that's good enough. But if they're not good enough for the teams in the NFL, they're just nothing anymore. Where if there's, a few more leagues below it, and it makes it more competitive. I mean, honestly, a lot of times towards the end of each, soccer season, it's a lot more entertaining to watch the teams fighting to not be relegated than it is to watch the teams
try to lose.
Yeah, like they're.
You remember
the ones that are trying to stay. Like, we're trying to not get relegated, and like other teams are like everyone in the middle. It doesn't really matter. It's like we're fine. And the people at the top, it's like you kind of know who's going to win. A lot of times they win a few weeks out. And it's like but there's teams all the way up to the end that are fighting to not lose, to go down, because it means a huge pay cut.
They might get traded. They might get cut or whatever
or
it is.
Going down,
get sold.
Like, they're
not traded,
playing.
Which is and that. Where was I going with this? Wow, I'm blanking right now.
You're talking about the promotion relegation.
Yeah. Forgot. I had a point. It was a point. It definitely was a point.
Well, there's another thing we want to talk about too, but we can get there.
No. Yeah, we can get there. No, there's something about this promotion relegation. I'm coming back to it, but I guess we can just move on. Man, it was a great point though. Yeah. Because I'm super smart. What was the other one?
The other thing we were talking about is the depth chart and stuff for the United States moving forward, and just bird halters.
So I think this comes back to if Trinidad, that fateful day in Trinidad. And I'm sorry, but if you don't know what we're talking about, we didn't qualify for the World Cup by losing to Trinidad and Tobago when all we had to do was draw.
29 possible outcomes.
I do remember what I was going to say. It was super good. Can we just quickly jump to that? All right, we're going to come back to the Trinidad thing, that fateful day. But, no, did I lose it again, dude?
It's kind of tight.
That is kind of tight. Dude, what? I should have just jumped right into it.
You should just interrupt me and just
say, I know.
All right.
Dude, back to Trinidad. It's going to come to me, though. It's going to come to me.
When you think of it?
I'm just going to go into it. Yeah, so keep going.
Yep.
No, but this, okay, so the Trinidad thing, no player there. Dude, I'm trying to think while I'm thinking about this. Okay, no player on that team. Yeah, you talk about it and I'm going to really think.
Okay, we've talked about this before, that no player that was on that team.
Under a certain age. Over a certain age.
Over a certain age. Or, I mean, really, there's only a few people on that team that should maybe still be on the team now, but anyone who was on that should not be on the team now moving forward. Most of the guys were older anyways, and really it's like we have enough young talent that way more beneficial to keep getting them experience and getting them like.
Oh, dude, I got it. Okay, drafts. And so, okay, sorry about this. In the football system, in the actual NFL system we have now, you get rewarded for being bad, for being the worst team. You get rewarded. So the NBA has kind of done a better thing with the draft, where you get a certain amount of like votes, where they just draw out of a hat, and then that's who gets the number 1 pick. But you remember the suck for luck, where Indianapolis Colts fans were hoping they went 0-16 so they could get Andrew Luck, and they did, and then they were automatically way better because they had like one of the best quarterback prospects. And well, so
they're doing the tank for Tua this year or whatever, right?
It totally flips our system upside down, where it's like you have to fight the whole season, because if you get relegated, you lose tons of money, sponsorship money, to add TV revenue, like all that.
Ticket sales,
you're gonna
cheaper.
Ticket sales, everything. People aren't gonna want to go. Like if you're in the MLB and then all of a sudden you're in AAA, people aren't gonna want to go as much.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting tooth and nail to be better, and that's what makes it, like you said, way more competitive there at the end. Whereas in the United States, it's like, well, if we keep losing, then we got a better chance to get this prospect coming up.
Yeah. And
that prospect is like, well, I'm gonna have to go to the best player has to go to the worst team.
Yeah.
And that's just a terrible system we have.
How many good players got lost at the Cleveland Browns for the last 10 years?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Look at
Menzel.
I mean, and
I don't know, he would have been a great NFL quarterback, but I mean, there's a lot of talent that's gotten drafted that's just like, maybe if they're a different team, they could have been successful, but it's kind of been a graveyard for people's careers.
And look at like Bo Jackson, who's like, I'm not going to Tampa Bay. And then look at John Elway, who's like, I will not go to the Buffalo. He's like, you can draft me if you want. I'm not going to sign. He's like, I'll go play baseball. And they have the number 1 draft. They need to draft the best player. That's what they should do as a franchise. But it's like it's just, I think the draft is such a dumb thing we do. Yeah. I think you got to just open it up and let them sign early. I do think that's going to hurt college football a lot, potentially.
You think?
Unless we keep making them stay till they're juniors, which you could do in football. Soccer is killing it. I think college soccer is killing U.S. soccer.
Yeah.
Because if you go to play college soccer, what's your season? 3-4 months? Not saying you're not practicing, but you're not. Yeah. If you go to an academy over in Europe, you are playing year-round.
You're playing with better competition.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, college soccer is fine here, but I mean, you look at the best players in the world, they're not playing college soccer in the United States. They're playing at these, they're growing up in an academy and they're spending their whole lives playing there. That's why, someone like, and obviously this is an extreme case, but someone like Messi,
yeah. He went there when he was
super young.
For sure 12. Could have been younger. I don't know.
That sounds about right.
But that's young. They're moving away from their family. Odell Beckham had the chance to do that.
Yeah.
He was so good at soccer. And it was, do I leave my family and go play soccer in Europe? Or do I stay here and play football? And it's like, Odell Beckham would be such a good soccer player for us.
Think about,
But it's like, you got to leave because that's what you do to be good.
Think about him. Yeah. He's, how old is he? 20?
He's 20 now.
Yeah. But he's been over.
Or maybe he's 21 now.
I don't think he is. I think 20 sounds right.
I think he just turned 21.
Well, regardless, very young. But it's like he's been over there for.
Yeah. And that's what you got to do. And it's like.
And it's clearly paying. He's our best player.
I think what people don't think. Yeah, he's our best player in the history of the United States. And he was that when he was 19.
Yeah. And he's
been
on fire for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Which is fun to see.
It's good to see. And so I think we need to just. The college, I think it just ties into our generation's parents had to go to college.
Yeah.
If you could go to college, that was a big thing. Now it's starting to be less that way, to where it's like college doesn't necessarily mean that much.
How much do you think it is as a parents, but also like college sports being a business on their own?
Well, that's true, but like college soccer isn't. And so I get like if they're strictly American sports, I'm okay, do the college thing. College football makes so much money. Stay doing that. Same with basketball. We're the best country at it. Football, we're really the only country that plays it. But basketball, we invented it. We care the most. We have the most money. We have the most athletes. We have the best players. So it's like college basketball is great too. So keep it that way. That's fine. But soccer almost, I think, I'm not going to say should be eliminated from college. But when you have guys who are like, do I go play pro at 16 or do I stay here and try to because what if it doesn't work out? Then I can get a college degree. When in reality, they're not even getting full rides.
Yeah.
Like college soccer is not very like when you get a scholarship, that's not a full ride scholarship in soccer. In football it is, in basketball it is, but not in soccer, not in wrestling, not in a lot of sports. So, but you have that push from their parents in that generation where it's like you got to get your college degree, you have to get your college degree, and it's like you're ruining this kid's career because if you're not something by the time you're 18, you're probably not going to make it, and that's just the weird way soccer is. But if you're not where you need to be, you're probably not going to make it past 18.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. I think both sides of it, though. I mean, as a parent, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I could see myself as a parent being like,
"You sure? Okay."
Well, none that I claim.
Okay, gotcha.
I could see it as a parent being like, "Hey, let's like, yeah, like that'd be great, you know." But this, I can understand people. I don't think parents are trying to. I don't think they're trying to trash their kid's career by any means. I can see how that happens, but I mean, like,
go and make your money.
Yeah.
And then go back. Like, you can still go back.
I get it.
You're not getting your whole college paid for anyways.
I partially wish that we had just better academies here too that we could play in, you know, that the players could be here and get better. I mean, it's hard because the talent level here isn't what it is.
Well, that's because it starts from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like we have the talent.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's actually not what it is. Like physically, we have the best athletes in the world. Because we're so diverse.
By far don't have the best coaches in the world. I mean, you look at a lot of those.
No.
I mean, you look at a lot of those other academies stuff. They have very good coaches. I mean, like the Barcelona academy growing up. I mean, look at those guys. They all play together. They're all really good, and we had really good coaching and everything. And it's like it was a kind of a perfect storm. Whereas like we could have that. Currently, it makes the most sense to go to Europe and play at a
and it's I think what's good about college, like what's going on right now in the U.S. is that colleges are starting to go out of style. I think having to go to college isn't going to be relevant in hopefully 10, but maybe for sure 15, 20 years. Colleges are going to be shutting down like crazy. They already are right now, which is good, I think, because it's like you don't have to go to college to be successful. Find out what you want to do and do that. But
they're making you take a lot of
and you can do stuff online. You can do stuff for way cheaper.
Making you take a lot of debt out for usually entry level jobs. That's whether it's answering phones or doing customer service stuff. It's like
all things. I mean, by the way, you learn the job you do. Like if you're gonna be a doctor, go to college. Yeah. If you're gonna be an engineer, go to college.
I didn't go to school to do what I do.
Yeah, I didn't go to school for doing what I do, but I don't even know what I do.
It's really good. Yeah,
that's a good point.
That was bad.
That's a good point.
Bad object lesson right there.
Yeah, I went to school for economics, by the way. Interesting fact.
You have no money,
and I have no money, and I don't know anything about economics, probably. So, and I graduated, by the way. So it's not like I didn't graduate. But that's besides the point. So that is going to be something I hope we start going towards to promote U.S. soccer, so where we can actually have that athletic superiority over the world, which is what we're all hoping for. Because America, greatest country on the planet. All right, and so then back to what we were talking about before I remembered what we were talking about.
We're talking about,
the team.
Yeah.
Trinidad. Back to that fateful day in, I forget the name of the city, but Trinidad. I'll look it up. Trinidad.
I mean,
someplace.
I mean, yeah, that night, but also it's like moving forward, the teams we should be fielding, the people we should have being selected. I mean, I don't know what age you were saying. We were watching one game this summer.
So, I mean, the next World Cup is 5 years from that point.
Yeah.
So, no one older than 25, 26, 27 should even be considered.
Yeah, and that may even be like, I mean, that's the thing is we have enough talent right now that's early 20s that is probably a better option, or I don't know.
Or as close to an option where it's like, you got 3-4 World Cups out of them.
Yeah, when we're looking at, the schedule, we're still putting people like Michael Bradley, not only in the squad, but also in the lineup. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, people make the argument of leadership and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, there's a lot of teams in a lot of sports where there's a young guy who's a good leader. It doesn't necessarily take age to be a leader. I think it takes
bring him into camp, bring him to practices.
Well,
don't bring them
if he's there, but
don't play them.
There's no reason he should be playing. And I don't think that if it came down to us needing to win this game to qualify for whatever thing we needed to qualify for, I don't think that he's that much better than any of our other midfielders that he's like, oh, we're for sure gonna win because Michael Bradley's in. Like, I would rather have a guy who's like maybe about as good but younger and like just needs more like experience. And also we have the ability to someone like Dest, like, cap tie him and people like that. Like, we need to.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they play him in Trinidad. We have to win, or we have to draw at least. Well, we didn't even have to draw, but the way circumstances went, worst case scenario, if we lose,
29 possible outcomes for how that all went. Only one means we don't go to the World Cup, and that happened.
And it happened.
So,
yep. And 98.5% chance of qualifying going into that day. I had already 2 days before I booked a flight into Moscow, Russia for the World Cup. I was that confident.
Well, 98% confidence, pretty
98.5% confident.
If I got 98.5% on a test, I'd be like, dang,
which that's never happened to me.
Yeah,
but
I got an 8.5 one time.
I'd be pumped. Really?
No, I got an 8. It was an 8%. Lowest test score I ever got in math.
Really?
Yeah.
What class?
Was it PreCalc, something like that? It was 8 questions. I had 8 right answers, but I only got 8% because my work was shown
separately.
Like, it was like kind of like wrote some down. It wasn't all like, here's number 1, here's number 2. But in my mind, the whole idea of math is to get the right answer. So I feel like the right answer should be worth more than 1%. So,
well,
I felt like I got a little cheated on.
I didn't know you had to take PreCalc to do calc, and I went straight into calculus with never taking PreCalc in college. I had to do it to wrestle.
They should give it a name so you know what it's for.
No. Well, so I get in there first day, and they're like, okay, and then you take the derivative, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, why didn't they explain what a derivative is? And so then I went to the math tutor, and I'm like, so what's a derivative? Like, I was like, oh, like you do the derivative. And I'm like, yeah, what is that? Like, we didn't explain that. They're like, oh, you didn't learn that in PreCalc? I'm like, I didn't take PreCalc. They're like, you didn't take PreCalc, and you're in calculus. And I was like, yeah. They're like, you are not going to pass. I was like, what? They're like, you have to take that. That's like, you're not going to know anything. I'm like, well, I go, I'm passing this class, so let's figure it out. I guess, so I had to like learn PreCalc while learning calc.
Well, hey,
and guess what?
You know what the good thing about that is?
Got a D, baby. D's get degrees.
You know what's good about that is PreCalc is actually also calculus. It's not its own subject. So
I know, but it was.
You're learning more. I'll give you that. You're not learning a different subject.
It was the toughest. It was by far the toughest academic thing I've ever had to and hope to ever have to go through. But got that D, baby. And I moved on, and D's get degrees. D's get degrees.
How close were you to an F?
Close. I mean, it was close. Yeah, it was a rough semester, that one. Had a lot of, was in the tutor a lot.
Were you real pumped when you...
It was one of the most relieved I've ever been in my life. I was like, well, literally my wrestling career depended on me passing that class. If I didn't pass, I wouldn't have wrestled at Nebraska. Because of the transfer thing.
Dude, good for you, man.
Dude, let's up top, bro.
Yeah. Honestly,
yeah. Hey.
I'm proud of you.
Hey. I was pretty proud of myself. But, all right. I think we wrapped up I think we're going to wrap this up now. Again, Adrian Zieg is the guest here. Owner. President.
Ooh.
CEO.
Ooh. Is that true?
El Capitan.
I'll go with that. Head boss.
Mayor. Head boss of Hexagon Home Improvements, who is our sponsor, who built this table. No, they didn't build that table. No.
Didn't do
What's something that's well structured here that I could say that you did?
Your jawline.
Knitted that flag of the state of Nebraska. Real good knitting program over there at Hexagon Home Improvements. But I'm going to link all Adrian's stuff down below, so you can slide in those DMs if you wish. Yeah. Unless you want to slide into mine, then that's also down below. Make sure the reason this one took a little longer to come out than the little separation between the two is because I was waiting to get approved by Apple Podcasts, which has just happened in the last day or two. So you can get this podcast and future podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
You're real. You're legit.
Yeah, I know. It's what's up. And any other podcast app that is on the Anchor distribution. So like Spotify and like all those other. There's a bunch of them.
Supposed to be on Spotify?
This will be on everything, dog.
Yo, I'm playing this at work so people can
Yo,
listen to me.
hit that at work. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That I have 0 reviews right now. So if you leave the first review and you then DM me that you did, I'm gonna give you like I'll mail you something if you're in the continental U.S. I don't know what it'll be, so it's gonna be a surprise gift.
Yikes! Be real careful.
Surprise gift. It'll be cool though. But you have to give me 5 stars. So only leave a review if you're gonna get 5 stars. If you're not gonna get 5 stars, out of here. All right. So don't do that unless you can leave it 5 stars. But all right, AZ Elk, We's out. Thanks again for being on the cast, and
That was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna see you next time I can sucker someone into coming in and doing a podcast with me. So over and out.